Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to Lefties Losing It. And let's start with a fine example of the modern left. They're privileged, out of touch, hateful, angry lefties. Let's hear from Jimmy Kimmel's wife and show producer, Molly McInerney, whose moral compass is so warped that she needs deprogramming. That's her word, not mine. First, listen to this bit of chutzpah. She seems to think that anyone who votes for Donald Trump is a victim of misinformation.
So there's like a little bit of sympathy I have for people in my family that I feel are kind of being deliberately misinformed every day. Mm-hmm. And they've...
Not kind of.
Yeah. They're deliberately being misinformed every day.
Are they watching your husband's awful program? Because that's where the hysteria, hate and misinformation is happening. You think we forgot about him lying, straight out lying about Charlie Kirk's murder? Let's hear more from Molly and her delusions of grandeur.
My husband is out there fighting this man. And to me, them voting for Trump is them not voting for my husband and me and our family. And I unfortunately have kind of lost relationships with people in my family because of it. Mm-hmm. This is not just Republican versus Democrat for me anymore. Mm-hmm. It is, to me, it's family values. I feel like I'm kind of in constant conflict and I'm angry all the time, which isn't healthy at all. But I personalize everything now. When I see these terrible stories every day, I'm immediately mad at certain aunts, uncles, cousins who put him in power. And it's really hard. And I wish I could deprogram myself in some way, but I get really angry.
Yeah, I think a deprogramming is a fine idea. Imagine being that lucky and privileged and choosing to be miserable and bitter every day, and nasty too, to your own flesh and blood. Now, here is another foul leftie with pronouns in her bio, naturally, who thinks it's fun to mock Erica Kirk, a grieving widow who lost the love of her life, the father of her two young children, in the most tragic circumstances. But for the left, well, it's just a reason to mock her.
All right, Erica, this is your moment. This is your moment to shine. This is your moment to show America how amazing you are. Be the sad, grieving widow that you have always dreamed of. This is my moment. Fox News. My husband. Yes, we should have cameras in the courtroom. My husband was murdered.
These people really are soulless. Now, let's go to another celebrity who really should not speak about politics. Russell Crowe was on Joe Rogan's podcast and was asked about what's happening in Australia. This was his asinine answer, and a warning here: you may lapse into a coma in the next 36 seconds as you listen to this, as Crowe struggles to articulate his love for Australia's radical left Prime Minister.
What is wrong with the way Australia's run?
Well, we're a little bit lucky at the moment. We have a Prime Minister who's very much motivated by trying to help everybody, which should be the job of a politician, right?
Sure.
To improve the lives of the people that they represent. And he's kind of inherited a conga line of stupidity that was going on, and he's trying to fix things.
Now, the lockdown continues with the media, including ABC's George Stephanopoulos, continuing to blame the Republicans for Schumer's shutdown. Here, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent takes the Democrat operative to task, and listen to how this interview descends into farce before Scott gets a delicious dig in. Well played, sir.
You were involved in a lot of these in the 90s, and you basically called the Republicans terrorists, and you said that it is not the responsible party that keeps the government closed. And so what we need is 5 brave, moderate Democratic senators to cross the aisle, because right now it is 52-3 52-3, 5 Democrats can cross the aisle and reopen the government. That's the best way to do it, George.
I can disagree with you about the history there, but we don't need a history lesson right now.
George,
Let's talk about what's happening right now.
If you want, I've got all your quotes here. I've got all your quotes here, George.
I'm sure you do.
And I went back,
let's talk about the situation right now.
Read your book. So you got one purchase on Amazon this week, and that's very much what you said.
You know, the bulk of the media has worked tirelessly to live up to the fake news tag, to live up to the public's worst fears about their lack of accuracy and impartiality, and it's often the ones who bleat loudest about misinformation and disinformation who are most guilty. The leftist activists masquerading as neutral journalists, like the ones working at taxpayer-funded BBC, who have been caught out heavily doctoring a speech by President Trump on January 6, 2020, to make it look like he incited a riot. Let's look at what the BBC played, followed by what he actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Ooh, I like the sinister music they played in that doctored version, just to drive the point home, obviously. So how did that happen? Let's hear from the Telegraph's Gordon Rayner, who explains just how deliberate and dishonest the BBC were in manufacturing this bit of fake news, this rewriting of history.
The BBC spliced together 2 clips that took place 54 minutes apart.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we fight. We fight like hell.
They played that episode a week before the US election, obviously hoping for maximum impact, but they were caught, and for once there were consequences. The BBC's Director General Tim Davie and Head of News Deborah Turness have now been forced to step down. Time to check in with former First Lady, the perpetually miserable Michelle Obama. Here she again reflects on her time at the White House. It was so awful having a glam team making you look your absolute best every single day. What an imposition.
Every day, every time I was up, as we called it, you know, I was up for the public.
Yes.
And the days were long. So as you mentioned, to save time.
Yes.
You know, I know having a glam team, a trifecta, it feels like a luxury, but it was a time necessity.
Yes.
There's absolutely no way that I would be able to do my hair and makeup and have clothes ready that fit, you know, because rare is the woman that can live off the rack.
Yes.
You know.
Where is the woman who can live off the rack, Michelle? Are you serious? Try just about every woman. Is Michelle Obama so out of touch that she thinks we're all getting designer gear, custom-made clothing, perfectly tailored to our measurements? She is absolutely kidding herself. Now, get ready, folks. A new gender identity has just dropped. 150 isn't enough. We need more. Let's hear what it means to be sapphic. Here is non-binary actor Robin Holdaway and her girlfriend to explain. See if you can understand any of this.
Sapphic, much like any identity term, can mean a lot of different things to different people. Broadly speaking, it means people who are not men, but generally femme in some way, who are also attracted to people who are not men and femme in some way. The idea of this, I think, is to be a little bit broader and more encompassing than some people might feel other labels are. Personally, I think there's space in a lot of labels for this, but for example, it's to encompass people who are attracted to non-binary people who might present in different ways.
Pretty sure we already have terms for all of that, but please do go on and bore us silly with your insufferable self-importance.
Only the thing is that this is actually quite an interesting part of how sapphic operates as a term, is that this is Robin. They are AFAB, i.e. they are female at birth, and they are actually quite masc presenting in a lot of ways, which means that I often have a brief moment of just having a brain block when everyone calls us sapphic, because I'm going, what? And I briefly forget that sort of almost in a way underneath the rest there's sort of female plumbing, because it's completely irrelevant to how I perceive them.
I very regularly forget that we're in a queer relationship.
And this is part of the interesting complexity of sapphic as a term.
Insufferable, insufferable. They went on and on and on. Trust me, I had to watch it all. Just so tiresome, self-delighted, luxury beliefs for people divorced from reality. Now, here's an antidote to that craziness. Here is a lady called Kristen Hawkins who has no time for such nonsense.
What about folks who have wombs but are not women, like trans people, genderqueer folks? Why do you keep saying women when this issue affects more than women?
Because there are two genders, male and female.
I am non-binary. I have a friend who is intersex. This issue affects more than women. It affects trans men. It affects genderqueer folks.
Women have wombs.
I am not a woman, and I have a womb.
You are a woman.
I am not. No.
Next question.
Now to Bryan Cranston, who's now a psychiatrist as well as being a daft actor who, well, sounds a bit like a simpleton every time he speaks without the benefit of a script written by other people smarter than him.
I think he is dangerous. And quite frankly, I don't think he's that smart. I really don't. I think he's very good at a specific thing, and that is branding himself. I think he knows how to sell himself, and that's because of his narcissism, that he cannot allow himself not to be seen as a winner.
A narcissist. He sounds like a teenage girl going through his first breakup, does our Bryan. But this is the guy who is, well, certainly old enough to know better and old enough to stop embarrassing himself, because I remember this, you may not, but back in 2016, he vowed to flee the United States if Donald Trump became president. The boy who cried wolf. Now, Nikki Glaser is a funny gal. She may have a weird Taylor Swift obsession, little odd for a 41-year-old woman, but she's a comic, and the only thing I want my comics to be is funny. And Nikki is funny. Her work on celebrity roasts is superb. But alas, she's gone from the highs of starring in Tom Brady's roast to cringe jokes about human trafficking and pedophilia. Check out this hot mess on Saturday Night Live.
I mean, it's hard even being an aunt for me. I was staying at my sister's house recently, and at one point I was like, I'm gonna go take a shower. And my nephew comes running in. He's like, I want to take a shower with you. I want to take a shower with you. He's 18. I'm like, what's going on with his voice? Something's wrong. No. He was 4, and it was very cute. And my sister was like, he can take a shower with you. It's fine. He does it with us. And I'm like, okay, that's fine for you guys, but are you really okay with like an adult showering with your child? Like, maybe it's okay if you like come and supervise. And she was like, why? And I was like, because what if I molest him? Like, and she was like, would you? And I was like, no, I would never. That's disgusting. But that's what I'd say if I was gonna. You know, like, they lie. Don't trust anyone. I don't even trust myself. I don't want to go in there. How do you become a pedophile? You don't get to choose what you're into, dude. What if it's one of those things you don't know you like till you get in there and you're like, well, this is my thing. And then it opens up a part of my brain. No.
Yep, I wish I could unsee that too, but there were signs with Nikki. I'm not sure if it's TDS or just the paranoia that self-delighted lefties suffer from, but she actually thought she may be banned from coming back to America because she bagged Donald Trump and joked about him during her recent stand-up tour. Listen to this.
I was just in Canada where you can say things on stage about someone, and they are on board. I mean, it is, dude, it's wild. There was a time on stage, I think on Saturday night, that was like, oh my God, if what I said gets recorded and sent out, like I could maybe not get let back into the country.
Now, do you think there was any pushback on that insane assertion from the Time magazine interviewer? Of course not. Nikki was allowed to explore her paranoid fantasies and make an utter dribbling fool of herself.
I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I definitely don't think that I am immune to having some kind of backlash, or that I couldn't be put on some kind of list because of some story I reposted that was, I mean, you look at other places that have dictators. Like, you're not allowed to say bad things about them before they became a dictator or after. So I'm kind of on a list at this point.
She's so desperate to be an oppressed victim. Pathetic. Now, get ready to cringe. Here is a silly woman, Stephanie Miller, bowing down and kissing the feet of radical Democrat Jasmine Crockett. It's a humiliating display, but she's proud of it.
Representative, can you confirm that I just kissed your sneakers? This is true. She's on camera saying she'll do the radio. I am. We're doing it. Future senator of the great state of Texas. I'm gonna miss Ted Cruz so much. He's so likable.
Now, let's have a look at a couple of brave celebrities finally taking a stand against the left's cancel culture. Here we've got two A-listers taking a stand against those trying to force them to apologise when they've done nothing wrong. First, it's Keira Knightley laughing off accusations about J.K. Rowling and then explaining to the triggered interviewer that people are entitled to their opinions.
I saw you're voicing Professor Umbridge in the new Harry Potter audiobooks. I was wondering, are you aware that some fans are calling for a boycott, given J.K. Rowling's ongoing campaign against trans people?
I was not aware of that, no. I'm very sorry. You know, I think we're all living in a period of time right now where we're all going to have to figure out how to live together, aren't we? And we've all got very different opinions. So I hope that we can all find respect.
She's not very sorry at all. That laughs at it all. And here is Sydney Sweeney shutting down an attempt to shame her for that American Eagle commercial.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
And there's apparently another Wicked movie, and that means more mindless musings from Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
Do you have a message for the queer fans who are watching this?
We love you, we love you, we love you.
We love you, we love you, we love you. And Oz has always been a queer place, a safe place for queer people, for every different color of the rainbow, for everybody. Read the L. Frank Baum books. It's the truth. You're safe with us. We love you so much.
That part.
The gayer, the better.
Do you have a message for the Gelfie stars?
Oh, we love you too.
We love you too. Where is our camera?
Great. Now we have another mostly peaceful moment. You remember the original during the BLM riots. That was some of CNN's worst work. And CBS wants to emulate that fake news by this report characterising a violent Antifa riot at Berkeley. As you guessed it, mostly peaceful.
Yeah, things have been lively here. While that Turning Point USA event is still happening inside, protesters have been out here for hours. You can see them still here behind me. They have been chanting, just a very, very lively scene out here. While things have been mostly peaceful, there have been some tense moments. Earlier this evening, there was a scuffle that broke out where two men started fighting. UC Berkeley police had to break up that interaction. Later, someone was throwing smoke bombs.
Are you kidding me? Just smoke bombs? Really? And, oh yeah, the violent Antifa thugs attacking people attending a Turning Point USA event. That's characterised as mostly peaceful, even as attendees are abused, threatened and bashed. As for her claim that just two men were fighting, well, that was wrong too. One man, a lefty called Jihad, allegedly attacked the victim who was left bloodied. And I say allegedly because he's already been arrested and charged with assault. And of course, CBS were keen to platform another lefty losing it, a woman with a septum ring who can't tolerate people with views that differ from her warped view of the world.
Turning Point USA should not be here, and they are like a fascist organization, and nobody here agrees with what they are saying. And obviously Charlie Kirk has been a big issue with like a lot of college campuses and people on college campuses. So we just think like, I mean, obviously I didn't really follow him a lot, but knowing what he did and knowing the things that he was saying, it's just like vile and disgusting. So we don't want to support his organization, and I don't think that the Berkeley chancellor should have let them come here.
Now to alleged comic Chelsea Handler, and I say alleged because she ain't funny, but she is indulging in cancel culture by encouraging people to boycott an ever-increasing list of companies.
Every Saturday, they're listing 10 new companies to boycott, and they're giving you background reasons, what they're affiliated with, who they give their money to, and who is profiting off of things like ICE, profiting off of ICE detention centers and all that stuff. But so, like, I'm feeling a lot of momentum. I'm feeling really, really supercharged and happy and powerful and hopeful. I feel hopeful again.
Oh, she feels hopeful again. You know, I kind of feel a little sorry for her, so I won't say what I was going to say, but thinking it. Let's hear now from Jon Stewart, who doesn't feel hopeful at all. He is distraught because his beloved Democrats folded just like his beloved Giants.
Not only did the Democrats and Giants lose in the same, I can't f***ing believe it manner, they sound the same doing it.
It's natural and appropriate to feel deep disappointment.
Disappointing outcome.
It was not the result many of us wanted.
Want to get the results that you hoped for and came up short?
It never feels good to come up short.
We came up short, and that was a tough one.
You learn and you prepare to do better in the future.
You're always learning and trying to be better. But not enough wins. Not enough wins.
We will win. We will win. We will win. We won't rest. We won't rest.
Now, America and indeed the world dodged a bullet, an incoherent, incompetent bullet, when Kamala Harris failed to buy her way into the presidency. Remember, she outspent the Trump campaign by an enormous margin, and despite losing in spectacular fashion, she seems to think she outsmarted President Trump. She was playing three-dimensional chess.
And I wasn't about to fall prey or fall into those traps. And part of his strategy and those around him was to try and take me off our game and message. And I wasn't about to be distracted by those flames that he was trying to throw to get me away from one of my highest priority, which was talking to people about the economy and their well-being in terms of their financial well-being. And so I understood the game that was being played, and I made a decision that I wasn't going to get played. And
chess, not checkers. Got it.
chess, not checkers. Yeah, three-dimensional chess, I'm telling you, you know.
And we've seen some astonishing stuff in this segment. We've heard from liars, gaslighters, the deluded, the deranged, and the dull-witted. And I'm about to play you a clip that brings a lot of those elements together. Here is CNN's Abby Phillip talking to former MSNBC anchor and conspiracy theorist Joy Reid. The projection here is incredible.
Conservatives are living in a completely different information world than liberals. And breaking that down needs to be done. Because when you don't ever even hear the facts, it's hard to even know that you're wrong. And that happens a lot.
Wow. Just wow. First, she says facts. She means her demented opinions, not actual facts. And a reminder, she's been wrong on just about every consequential issue in recent years, along with Joy Reid, whose podcast she seems to be appearing on. Joy Reid, not too long ago, was pushing conspiracy theories about Donald Trump not really being hit with a bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania. She's as loopy as they come, but she's on the same side as self-delighted, self-aggrandizer Abby.
Half of my job sometimes is knowing what the latest conspiracy is, so that if it comes up, I'm ready to address it. Because it happens a lot where people don't even know that what they're saying or what they've seen and believe is not true. And so that happens a lot. And I don't come away from that saying, what's the point of this? People are just saying false things. I think that one time that person brings up something that is debunked and false, and I debunk it at the table, might be the very first time that someone out there has heard an alternative point of view.
Yes, we Conservatives really need Abby Phillip, the hopelessly biased, hopelessly wrong Abby Phillip, to debunk lies for us. Let's have a look at her recent form.
It's clear as day. The FBI put out statistics. Crime is going down. You don't have to twist the facts.
The FBI quietly comes out with this new data that shows actually violent crime is up 4.5% during that time frame.
The only person making an accusation that people are not getting what they've asked for is Trump, falsely claiming that the administration is withholding resources because of political affiliation. That is just not true.
Well, the Federal Emergency Management Agency is facing major backlash after confirming reports that a supervisor ordered disaster relief workers to avoid homes with Trump yard signs.
There's actually not any evidence linking any of Hunter Biden's wrongdoings to Joe Biden. You are incorrect. You think that Biden would actually pardon Hunter Biden, despite him saying pretty...
Yes, as a father, he would.
No.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president has ruled out pardoning his son.
Breaking news. President Biden has just pardoned his son.